G'day, Stu from UAVfutures here, and today, well, I've got a bit of a buyer's guide for you guys trying to find the best FPV goggle of 2018, because I know when you first start researching goggles, you find out, gee, that's a lot of money. I want to make sure I get that right. Some of these things can be upwards of 500 US bucks. So what we're going to do today, we've got a whole bunch on the bench, goggles you can get in 2018, and it is absolutely critical. Something I'm passionate about is getting people flying with the best gear that they can have the most enjoyable time, and getting the FPV pair of goggles right is absolutely essential to having a good time. They come in a huge range of prices, huge range of features, so that's what we're doing today. We're going to break down, I've got a lot of the popular models here, we're going to be going through all of these. I'm going to leave a little playlist here up too. You can go watch that, thank you YouTube, that should pop up. That's all my past FPV goggle reviews. So if you're interested in one of these that I'm talking about, go watch the full review, the bench breakdown, all that sort of stuff we tested in the field to get even more information. But what this video is going to do, it's going to summarize these goggles right here so you can make the most informed decision to find the right goggle that is right for you. Because you might see some other videos where everyone's raving about a certain type or something, but you don't realize they're a sponsored pilot. They might be getting paid to fly that goggle, all those sorts of things. So what this is the information, and you've got to forgive me, I've got a cold. This is the information that you guys need to see. We're going to talk about the price, its features, its comfort, any extras it comes with, and also break it down in terms of screen size. I'm not going to use field of view numbers. I'm just going to use extra large, large, and medium, because all of these goggles here, the screens, I would say, are absolutely flyable in terms of size-wise, no matter which one you're going to get. Some are bigger than others, and there's pros and cons having a large screen and also a small screen. And then the other point of distinction, some of these take Fatshark receiver modules, which is just your receiver module you plug into your goggle, and other ones, it's got the receiver built in, so we'll talk about that as well. But let's kick it off. Start over this side. This is with the Sky 03s, and these are about $380 when I googled them up. They are an absolute feature-packed pair of goggles. Of course, they've got their receivers built in. Some things I like about this goggle, they're very, very quick to go through the menu. It can offer you side-by-side 3D as well. It has a ton of inputs and outputs on the bottom. The screens, I'm going to say you do have a large field of view when you're looking into these ones. Some things I do like about them, they do have an on and off switch. In terms of comfort on your face, this one, well, it's not the most comfortable pair of goggles. They definitely did a revision, and the revision is better than the first pair they released. But yeah, probably a 7 out of 10 for me in terms of comfort. I've used these quite a bit in the past. They're very, very good at cycling through the channels. That's my favorite thing. But in terms of value, they're very, very pricey. So on the flip side, maybe a 6.5 out of value for me. So definitely a very, very feature-packed pair of goggles, but getting close to 400, definitely not very cheap whatsoever when you consider some of the other options out there. They also have some little extras as well. You get a whole heap of cables that can hook up to your computer, HDMI, a very, very feature-packed full goggle, but on the flip side, not the most comfortable, and in summary, also pretty expensive. Now moving on, what we've got here, this is the HD3s, and look, I've used these quite a bit. You're going to have to forgive me, they're very, very dirty. They're about 400 US dollars, so very comparable to that. They do take the Fatshark module bay, so you can see that goes in just here. But you need to purchase those modules extra. So that's an extra bit of price you need to add in. And some of those modules, yes, you can get some cheap ones for $30, $40, and other ones can be upwards of like 150 bucks. So it can be very, very expensive if you want to go that route and get the best of the best. But let me tell you, in my experience, a lot of these goggles, you're going to get relatively the same sort of reception, bar one. There is one exception when we get to that goggle where you get some crazy reception, and I don't know why. Now, in terms of features, I'm going to give this like a 7 out of 10. Nothing too crazy. I find the menu system is okay. It doesn't really do much. It does come with an extra battery. The field of view, I'm going to say, is large with this one, and it's just all around you sort of, this is probably the most popular goggle you see out there. A lot of people fly with the HD2s or the HD3s, and yeah, overall, it's a good goggle. It fits okay on your face. For comfort, I'm going to say 7 out of 10 as well. It's not quite as heavy as the Sky Zones, but it's not as light as some of the others on there as well. And if you've got it on your face all day, it definitely does weigh up. And I feel this one on the bridge of my nose. So overall, with the value and those sorts of things, I actually do prefer the Sky Zones over that one, because they've got the built-in diversity, and also they're just that little bit cheaper, and you don't need to buy an extra module. Now moving on, this is where we've got the OnWays. Now this is the OnWay V2s, the Commander V2s, and it's a very, very light goggle for how feature-packed it is. It's coming in at about 400 bucks when I last did the search. It is absolutely feature-packed. I like the screens. I really, really do like this pair of goggles. It has a really, really big screen, so I'm going to say the screen in here would be between large and extra large, so very, very immersive, very easy to go through the menus, but not quite as easy as the Sky Zone, so it is a little bit less responsive in that respect. I find the reception is fine on these. They are very light on your face, and so that's where this one gets big points for comfort. So comfort on this one, I'm going to say is about a 9 out of 10. You can wear these all day. You're not going to feel too much pressure on your face whatsoever. Now, some of the limitations, it doesn't come with a battery, and also if you want to put in those really, really expensive receivers in there, those Fatshark external modules, this one, that's not going to let you do that. So overall, I think the one thing that lets this thing down is its price. At around 400 bucks, it's really running into some stiff competition. I probably do prefer it more than the Fatsharks, but it's kind of a bit of a toss-up between the features of this one versus the comfort of the OnWays. So the Skies and also the new OnWays, they're very, very similar at very, very similar prices. Now, moving on here, this for me was one of the stars of the show, especially for 2017, and it is still absolutely killing it in 2018. This is the OnWay V1s, the Commanders, the one that kicked it off for me, and I really think shook up the industry the most. This pair of goggle here, its screen, it's only medium size. It's coming in at 300 bucks though, so it is very, 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 very good value, and I think probably one of the best value goggles on this bench today. And my favorite thing I like about it as well is the comfort. For me, this is the comfiest pair of goggles, the comfiest one when it's sitting on your face all day. It's the lightest. It is so easy to wear. I could wear this thing all day. It is 16 by 9, and that's something other people, you can check all these out if they're 16 by 9 or 4 by 3. But for me, I love this pair of goggle. I know so many people out there who enjoy this pair of goggle, and at 300 bucks, its features are fine. You can still do HDMI, all these things, record DVR, but this one, and it's got some of the same limitations. When you're going through the menu, you know, it's a little bit less responsive to the Sky Zones. They're very, very quick. This one's a little bit slower. The reception is fine. It doesn't have a diversity base, so it's just got its diversity modules built in, so don't expect, you can't put an external module in here. But for me, I don't know, Grumpy Trev as well, and a lot of other people, they are huge fans of the Sky Zones. And they are so popular for a reason. For 300 bucks, I really think this is the best value goggle on the market when you compare its features, its price, and also for big, big part for me is its comfort. So definitely the OnWay V1s I'm a huge fan of. Now moving on here, we have something a little bit strange, and not too many people might not know about these, but these are actually my backup goggle. And you can see, and look, I have a lot of goggles, and you might be thinking, Stuart, why did you pick that as your pair of goggles? Now, this is only 270 bucks. This is the Flycase, and I put in heaps of foam in here because they didn't fit your face very well. They weren't the most comfortable or ergonomic goggles on your face, so they needed a little bit of work. And they don't record a DVR, actually. The battery that comes with these things is a pain, and some of its features aren't very good whatsoever. But Stuart, why would these be your backup goggles then? And for 270 bucks, these Flycase goggles, the one part I can say about here, the screen, I would say is probably a little bit smaller than average. But what I really, really liked, and I can't believe this, I don't know how this happened, but was the reception. The reception of the Flycase has been better than any other reception on any other goggle I have ever tested. It's crystal clear, and I don't know what they're doing or what's inside this, but this is the best FPV feed that I have ever seen. So when you're watching something, if I had to go long range, this would be the goggle that I'd be using. So the receivers in here, absolutely top notch, which puts it up there with some of the other goggles. If you want good FPV vision, if you don't want any of that static, any of that breakup, this goggle right here is amazing, but expect to do a little bit of work as well. But at 270 bucks, if you absolutely can't afford any of the others, it is a very, very good option, because that's about as cheap as you're going to get a reliable pair of goggles. You've just got to be prepared to work, mod it out a little bit, maybe print your own faceplate or some other parts. It doesn't have a fan as well, whereas all these other ones have a fan up to this one. So I like this goggle only because of its reception and its price. Now moving along, next we're going to talk about the Top Sky goggles, and these ones, they're coming in at 350 bucks, and feature-wise, well, they had some features, but they do take a Fatshark module base, so if that's a feature you're interested in, they do have that. But I'm going to say stay away from these goggles. I didn't really like them very much. They made a second revision. It didn't really improve it very much, and overall, they're just a bit of a waste of money. So any of these other goggles, I would prefer to fly on this. Out of all these lists, this is my least favorite pair of goggles on here. They've got some different types of screens as well. I did have a lot of issues. They're not very comfortable on your face, and I just think value for money wise, it's like a 2 out of 10, because they are very expensive, especially for sort of what you're getting. So they don't fit your face very well. I don't think they're the best made, and this one was a real letdown for the community, because a lot of people were hyping this up, and it just happened to be just that, it wasn't really hype. So if you see the tops, guys, they're linked down below, but I'm going to say buy any other goggle on this bench rather than these. Now we're moving on to probably the high range of things. You can see what I've got here. This is the Fatshark HDOs. And guess how much these bad boys are? They're $500 US. They don't even come with a receiver. They do have a receiver module, and look, that's common with all Fatsharks. And here's what I talk about when I say those external receivers. So this is what you're going to have to buy extra, and this would go in this goggle, and the Fatsharks, and also that one we're going to talk about on the end. But you simply slide that in there, and that's how you're going to pick up your video feed. The other ones, like the OnWays and the Flycase and the Sky Zones, they've got this little bit built in. Now, some features, let's talk feature-wise. This is a very, very feature-packed goggle. And the big feature for this is the screens. It is absolutely crystal clear. I'm going to say that when you're looking through here, you've got a large field of view, so it is very, very immersive. But the big seller for this one, it is the most clear image that you're going to see. So when you're looking at these screens inside here, they've got OLED technology. It's a very, very clear display. So I really, really like that in this goggle. I think as that feature, that is why some people are willing to spend $500 US on the goggle alone versus and then as well as the extras versus over some of these other ones, because it's about $100 more expensive US, which is a lot than any other goggles right here. Now with that $500, I'm going to say value for money. Unless you're a pro racer, I would prefer to spend my hard-earned cash on any of these other ones here, minus the top Sky. We're just going to put those to the side. I'm not really a fan of those, but it is so expensive, and I think, you know, if you want the best of the best and you're going to pay through it, yes, that's fine, but you are going to pay through the nose. So value for money, about a 4 out of 10. But the features, when it comes to the screen, absolutely, you know, a 9 out of 10 with the nice image that you're going to get. And the menu systems and being able to put in your own receivers, that's a bit of a pro and a con. You've got to pay for them, but you can get some nice features with that. So if you want the best of the best, I do think that these are the goggles for you, but very, very pricey as well. Now moving on here, we have a bit of a strange contender. Now this is the eSheen 200Ds. These are coming in at $300 US. And I've got to say, these are pretty feature-packed goggles. They're the only one with quad diversity, and I've seen some videos where they do help you with your reception. In some certain situations, you are going to get better reception because you're going to have to put 4 antennas on there, but be mindful, that might be more expensive as well. That's an extra price. They do take Fatshark modules. I'll see if I can clip the front off just here. So you pop these open, you put some little Fatshark modules in here, but it does get shipped with 2 inbuilt, I think, if you choose option B or something, and that's included in the $300 US. So for the $300, you are getting a pretty feature-packed pair of goggles. They use a liquid crystal silicon, I believe, display, and it's a nice image. I didn't have any issues with mine, but it is a bit of a new player on the market. So in terms of getting services, warranties, all those sorts of things, time's going to have to tell how that goes. At $300, it is a very, very respectable goggle though. It's got a nice big picture. It's very comfortable. It's not too heavy. I don't feel it's as much pressure as some of the Fatsharks or the Sky 03s. And overall, I've really got to commend eSheen for coming into the market with the 200Ds. I think they did a pretty good job. So price-wise, yeah, it's probably one of the best value goggles on here. For me, I really like the OnWays a little bit more. They're the same price, but I do think this one has more features. So I don't know if I've just used this one and the comfort pushes it a little bit more, but this is right up there in terms of features, maybe about a 9, and in terms of comfort, probably about a 7, and value, it's back up there with a 9 as well. So I'm a big fan of this goggle. Definitely, you're not going to be disappointed if you pick one of those up, especially if you pick it up on a bargain. Now there's 2 other goggles that I want to mention, and I thought I had these, but it looks like I've given away to my Patreon supporters. So that was the Sky 02, so that was the earlier version of these. They're about $270, and I was really happy with that goggle. I would say if that's all you can afford, if you can get that on special, that is a really, really good goggle. It's got a lot of the features of this one, but it's just not quite as comfortable as something like the OnWays. And the other one was the Falcons, which at the moment are about $260, which make them a cheaper goggle. I think they're having a bit of a sale on those. But that is, I wish I had that pair too. I don't know where that pair's disappeared to. If I send that out to you, well, I hope you're enjoying them. But it did take a Fatshark receiver module. It had some big screens in there, and they were really, really good value goggle as well. I didn't think they were quite as comfortable as some of the OnWays, but they still, for the price, you definitely can't complain. Now, I know that's a bit of a ramble to go through, and you might be thinking, sure, what about these box goggles? What about these other types? And yes, you can watch all those video reviews up there, but now there's only one box goggle that I would really recommend, and that is this one right here. And this is coming in at $150, $160. This is the Viper goggles from FXT. I'll link this down below as well. And the reason I like this goggle is for one reason only. It's comfortable, actually 2 reasons. It's comfortable, And the biggest one with the box goggle, or it solves this problem, you don't get eye strain. So a lot of reviewers don't tell you is that when you're focusing on these goggles all day with some of those smaller box ones, you're gonna get eye strain. It's gonna hurt your eyes. You can't fly all day. It might be fine for 1 or 2 flights, but when they're not putting the packs through, they don't tell you that you are gonna have sore eyes at the end of the day. Now this bad boy, that doesn't happen. So if none of these are in your price range and you can't afford that, this is the only box goggle really now that I'm happy to recommend for the price. 160 bucks, well worth it. And on top of that, you can also put some glasses in the side. So if you need to wear glasses and none of these are going to let you do that, you can put little Doppler lenses in there. But if that doesn't float your boat, this is your best option if you're a glass wearer out there for some FPV. Now look, I know this was a bit of a different video, and a lot of people who watch my videos, you've already got a pair of goggles, so you might not be interested in this, but this is aimed at those new pilots out there. They want to get the right goggle for you because, as you all know, having the right pair of FPV goggles is absolutely essential and critical to having a good day when you're out flying. You want something that's going to work for your face, some of the features you want, but you also might not want to break an arm and a leg when you've got to pay through the nose for it. So anyway, what do you guys think? Drop your comments down below. Which goggle do you like? What do you think about those other goggles? Have you ever seen the Flycase before in the flesh? Because let me tell you, if you get a chance, go check them out for that reception. It is crazily good. On that, subscribe for more FPV related content. If you're a new pilot, definitely welcome to the hobby. I hope this helps you. And other than that, happy flying. I can see I've got a delivery here today. I wonder what it's going to be. The guy's pulling up in the van. I'll see if I can open it up on camera. See what we got. This is going to be... Alrighty, so hopefully you guys enjoyed that video. Definitely subscribe if you're new to the channel and check out these videos. And I'm also going to leave a little link here to my Patreon page because I've got some fantastic Patreon supporters and I like to give back to them as well. So if you want to join the UAVfutures family, there's things like bonus Velcro straps, little bundles of FPV goodies and things like that that also get sent out. Anyway, happy flying.